Hello and welcome to the sewing studio. Today I'm going to show you how you can make a baby's quilt or a baby's playmat using scraps that you've got left over from other quilts. So we're just going to go over to the quilt behind me and have a look and see how we can make that up. So you can see this quilt has been made up with different size squares. It's got rectangles, it's got bigger squares, and then it's got this lovely rectangle here that's got this appliqued rabbit on it. And the same with the fox there, and the hedgehog is the rectangle going the other way. So when you look at this, you think, how can I put that together? Because you can see different shapes. So in a moment, I'm going to show you how you can make all these measurements fit. But the trick is that you make this as one long column. So this from here, you make that as one long column. Then you make this one as one long column and this one. And then you join those three together. And then you can put a border on it. You can put a fillet on it. And this one has been quilted using a wavy line with variegated thread, and it's got the same design on the back as we've got here, but these were all bits and pieces that were left over from another quilt, and Julie's managed to make yet another quilt with her scraps. So I'm going to show you over on the table how we can do that and the sizes we can use to put it together. So these are the pieces that I had left over from a baby quilt that I made recently. I made it in blues, yellows and greys, and these were all bits and pieces that I had left over. So I'm going to show you how you can just make it up with what you've got. So if you've got smaller pieces, for example, these are 3.5 inch squares and they're joined together to make a 4 patch. And then I've joined them to a 6.5 inch square. So that's one row. Then I've cut a 12.5 inch square that I've appliqued this boat design on. And I've done this just drawing a design onto Bondaweb. And then the top piece, these are all 3.5 inches and they're joined together. So I would make this probably the centre of my quilt. So I would join that to that and that to that. And that's my row, as I was talking about on the quilt behind me, if you do it in columns. And then this one I've done, I just need to refer to my notes on this one. So this is a 4.5 by 8.5. And then these squares here are 4.5 inch squares. So they all fit together. So that's another row. And then this row is just pieces that I had left. So they're both 5 inch squares. And then I just added this little piece because I wanted it to measure the same as that. So it adds to this. And that's the beauty of this quilt. It doesn't have to be exact. You can just add what pieces you've got if you're doing it in columns. And then the same with this one, I needed to make this up so it was the same size. So I'm just going to measure this and tell you what it measures when I can find my ruler. Bear with me. So this one here is 12.5. And before I joined these pieces to it, that was 8.5. And then these squares are 3.5. So that makes up a big enough piece to join. So if I join all these together, I will have 2 columns. And then I'm going to do a third one, just looking at the pieces that I've got left. So I'm just going to make it fit. So it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. And that's what patchwork should be about. We should be able to use up all our pieces and not get too hung up about what fits and what doesn't. So just trim it to the size you want it or need it to fit. So I'll probably do another row here and then I'll put a border around it and put some binding on it, depending what fabric I've got left. And that's the beauty of this. You can be completely free with it and make it what you want, depending on what you've got. And out of the leftovers, I'll have another lovely baby quilt. So as always, thank you for watching, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the Sewing Studio.